Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our full council meeting. Happy Maunday Thursday, and I'd like to welcome our guests for a presentation on agenda item 5, Reverend Caroline, Nicola and Alex. Welcome. I know that you have to zoom away to, I'm hoping you're going to be giving arms out later on, are you?
Well, not for this particular service, no. Although we do have
Let me know when it is.
We do have a hardship fund in the church if anyone needs to apply.
Well, welcome to our council meeting. Okay, we're going to kick straight off, please, with apologies for absence. Tracy?
Apologies from councillors Mitchell and Penny.
Thank you. Item 2, the minutes, to receive the minutes of the council meeting held on the 20th of March 2025 and to confirm as the correct record. And we hope you all studied the minutes. And I would hope that you're happy with it. May I have a proposal and a second? From Jane and Steph. All in favour? Any against? That's carried. Thank you. Okay. May's announcement. It's been rather a lean month, I'm afraid. I've only been one function, and that's the AGM of the Allotment Society, which was very interesting, I have to say, and it came up with quite a few questions. There's more coming in May, but whilst I'm on Mayor's announcements, I'd like to give another advert, please, for our tea party on the 27th of April, which is the prelim of VE Day. There's still a few tickets left, and we would like as many councillors as possible to come along and help wave flags. You may get a cup of tea. This is the programme. It's full of excitement and joy, songs with guest artistes, namely Councillor Morgan and his entourage.
That'll be his brother then.
His twin brother. And proceeds from the tea dance will go to the Mayor's Charity, which is the stroke unit, and the YMCA. And I'm indebted to Jane, who's been, and Tracy and Julie, who's been organising it. And when we hear it, Rick, but we won't thank him until we Thank you. Item 4, declaration of disposable pecuniary interests. Members are reminded of the requirement to disclose any interest in relation to items on the agenda when these are discussed. Leading swiftly into agenda item 5, which is to receive a presentation from the Winterfest team on the development of an accessibility map for Brightlingsea. Again, welcome. You've done a brilliant thing this last winter. I've been to a few of your events this winter, and it's surprising just how much motivation your team can keep going. It really is great. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you. So thanks for having us. I'm going to talk a little bit about the accessibility map idea. But before we do, I just want you to have a think about what did it take you guys to get here this evening? So presumably you just left the house, got your car, walked down here, nice and easy. But what would it take if you were an 88-year-old veteran in a mobility scooter or a wheelchair user, or you had major anxiety, or you had autism? So this room at the moment feels quite quiet, everyone's listening to me, but actually the lights are really bright and I can hear them buzzing, and actually I can hear something outside and I can smell chocolate, and it's really annoying because someone's rattling a bit of chocolate paper, and there's a really awful smell of perfume somewhere that I don't like. I'm making this up, by the way. Okay. If you've got those sensory overloads, that might make it really difficult to get here, okay, or to different places. If you are a wheelchair user and you wanted to come here tonight, there's 2 wheelchair spaces in the car park. But what if somebody's having a party down Eastern Road and they parked in those places, and you get here and you can't park, and you can't get your wheelchair out of the car, and then it's raining and you're wet and you can't get in, is the door going to be open, and can I get round? All all these things can impact how you move around the town. But we've got lots of really good stuff in Brightonsea. So I don't need to tell any of you guys, I'm sure, about the Autumn Centre. We know about that and all the good stuff it does. Do you know all the other good stuff? This is just a few things. So we've got little boat gifts to deliver, as to the butchers, greengrocers. Dave's barbers will come out and do your hair at home if you can't get out. The doctor's surgery gets slated on social media, but actually they're amazing. You talk to the practice manager, she will do anything to help people. We've got a really good little CIC that's just opened called Pens and Dragons. Very accessible, set up by 4 amazing ladies who set this up so that people with neurodiverse conditions have got a really safe place to go to play games, Dungeons and Dragons, to write. So there's so many good things in Brightonsea. But what if you don't know about them? What if you can't ask for help? And where do you find out this information? So that's where this idea comes in. We want to create an accessibility map. We want it to be a flagship project, but more about that in a second. The idea is to create a map of local businesses, organisations, events, activities in Brightonsea, and explain what they do to support people who've got disabilities or access issues or other neurodiverse conditions, so that it's really easy to find out information. So why? Well, we want to try and create an environment that's going to be inclusive, where everyone can participate, and try and support social inclusion for people with disabilities. So it's not everything for everybody all of the time, but something for everybody some of the time. And we know that different people's access needs are different and they conflict with each other. So what works for one person might not work for another. But we also know as well that businesses and groups are limited by various things, money, their structure of their building. So we've got lots of lovely old buildings in Brightonsea, not all of them are the most accessible. But it's highlighting and publicising the positives and not criticising the negatives. With me so far? So what we wanted to do is create 2 things, an online resource and a physical resource. So our online resource will be a website with the map and details of each business provision, and have things like a drop-down menu with the support that's offered. We want to download, so have a downloadable business questionnaire so people can fill in what they can offer to places. And have a searchable register, so that if you want to find somewhere that you can get your hair done but you can't get out, who's going to be able to come and do your hair at home? Or if you need something delivered, who's going to be able to deliver it? We want to look at all the home businesses and the virtual businesses and the things that are hidden, that aren't necessarily just in the town centre that you can see visibly. And we want to create a virtual poster that people can use to display what they can do that supports people. We also want to have a means of reviewing the businesses so that people can believe what they read is actually right. And then our paper version, because we need to have paper, because some people don't use the internet, will be a paper map, and again, a paper version of that online resource, so that those who don't have access or aren't able to use the internet are able to access this information too. The other thing we want to look at is training for local businesses. So people can learn a little bit more about access needs, people can learn about things like sensory issues, and so we can basically increase accessibility and inclusion and help support people that struggle.
This is slightly different to, but it's alongside, the Equality Act of 2010, obviously everyone's familiar with that. So we're really familiar with the term compliance. So it's not about a compliance thing, it's actually about looking at, this is what we already do, and yes, we comply with what we have to, but how can we be more inclusive and welcome more people that fall between the lines of the Equality Act?
And also, this will be all of us one day in one way or another. So, I'm sitting here with a stick tonight, but a few years ago when I got COVID, I ended up in a wheelchair and a mobility scooter, and my life suddenly changed overnight. And the ways in which I could access this wonderful community changed overnight, and I had to learn a whole new set of things. And when someone acquires a disability, or when, for example, they move into the area for the first time, they are often the least well placed to do the research because they have the least energy and the least time, because it takes time and energy to cope with a disability or a neurodiversity and just to exist. So this is putting something together so that that time and energy has already been put in by volunteers who've got it, so that those who are struggling and don't have it can simply find what they need.
So we've got a concept of having this as a flagship project. So this should be a familiar thing to people. So if you go out for a meal, every organisation that serves food has a food hygiene rating. And everywhere you go in the country, and certainly in England, people will see that and they will understand what a 5 means versus what a 1 means. Yeah? We want to do something similar. So we want to set it up in Brightonsea, but we think that this could be exportable. So we have a logo that's been designed by a young person who's volunteering and volunteered their services. We want that to be a little bit like that food hygiene thing. The logo will be something that can be used, and then by the side of it we'll have the things that that business can offer that support inclusion. So it might be wheelchair accessible, it might be home delivery, it might be quiet hours. How many people here know that Tesco's has 2 quiet hours a week in Brightonsea? I know. Amazing, isn't it? Every Tesco's in the country has 2 quiet hours a week. Wednesday and Saturday, 9 till 10. So many people don't know that. I haven't met one person who knows that actually. I keep telling everybody. But yeah, so it's having that highlighted, and hopefully businesses can display that in their window, they can display it on their website, and have bits that they can do, because not everybody can do everything, but what can you offer people so that they know, and they don't have to go and find the information. So we want to create an exportable template so it can be replicated in any community, but we want this to remain copyrighted to Winterfest so that it's free. We don't want anybody to monetise it, so people can use it in different communities, but no one makes money out of it. And we've already got a team of people that can plan and coordinate the delivery of all this within Winterfest and various other people that we're partnering with. So what we need, so we would like Brightonsea Town Council to partner with us to create the Brightonsea version, and as a pilot that can be exported to other places. We need to pay someone for the online work, so the website setting up, posting and updating, and for any printable materials. And our proposal is that this accessibility map is hosted on the Brightonsea Town Council website. It could be one additional page that lists the businesses and then links to those individual businesses to get the information. So it doesn't need to be a huge cost, but if it sits within the Town Council's website, it's very accessible. It's an obvious place to find. Everybody knows there is a town council, what you should do. Every town has a town council. Not every town has a Winterfest. So we've already got a team of volunteers with lived experience or relevant experience. We've got an offer of a free logo design, which you've seen part of, which is in the, it still needs tweaking, but it's brilliant. And we've got a team of volunteers with disability, with neurodiversity, and various other access needs who are going to test out the businesses and go around and do the legwork. But we do need your support. So what do you think?
Thanks very much, Nicola. It's very enlightening. Councillors, Nicola and her team did come and speak to the Deputy Mayor and myself earlier on this year with this idea. We were quite flabbergasted, weren't we? And Matt did offer to donate some of your time with the web hosting and web building and the web paging, which I'm assuming you're still happy to do. It's not a question, you're ready for you to ask questions now to Nicola, after which, and her team, sorry, after which we can then just see that we can support this. And it's a very easy thing to support, it's a good thing.
Could I just add one more thing as well, is the tourism element.
Yeah.
People who have got relatives and family members and friends with disability, neurodiversity issues, look specifically for friendly places to go. And if this was highlighted on our tourism spot, it would be good for that.
Yeah, you're spot on. Now the French, do a similar sort of thing in small towns, and I've seen it down there, and it just works. It's so well. Councillors, would you have any questions?
I think it's a marvellous scheme. Can you just explain how does that the logo, how does it work? Is it just to signify that they're part of the scheme, or does yellow signify something, green? How is that going to work?
So the logo at the moment came from our young person who's designed it. The idea is a compass. There's arrows going out and there's arrows coming in. So it's sort of showing sharing of information and bringing information in. I think the rainbow is very much inclusivity. I love a rainbow. Person put the rainbow in, but we've also got white on black and black on white. So it depends on what the situation is. It might need to be a black and white logo. It can have the rainbow taken out. This Brightling Sea, we're all in the same boat, coming up with the sort of almost a boat anchor. It was sort of feed the sea, words that promote inclusivity, diversity.
I think the plan was also that it could perhaps be on a T-shirt, so that at big Brightling Sea events you could have people who are diversity access representatives, so you know if somebody's got that T-shirt or that logo that you can ask them about. So that's some way in which it might develop further later down the line, and that might be a sign that's recognisable. We wanted something that was distinctively Brightling Sea and something that could be exported for other communities. So the circle logo is the exportable bit, and the other shape is very much designed to reflect Brightling Sea community and to have a sort of Brightling Sea flavour.
We would be happy to have a sort of working group of the partners. Obviously, BTC are interested in coming on board with us. Then having representatives from the council, us working together with a group of young people for lived experience, it would be good to have that co-design of the whole concept really.
And it would be great to work with you. There's a plethora of committees in this council, and one immediately springs to mind, which is our tourist committee, that also has commitments from residents that are not on council. It will work. Councillor Barry, you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I think it's brilliant, brilliant concept. In terms of, I mean, yes, in terms of showing where people can get access and so on, but it will also raise awareness a lot about, as you say, about what the town can provide and what's available. But I think it has potential across a whole range of uses as well. And I mean, there's the thing about how it might be regulated and monitored. I suppose that's something I've obviously thought about. But I think in terms of active travel is around the district, something I'm heavily involved in, and I think this thing about having a sort of a marker that signifies a certain standard, as I say, will give people confidence about coming here. But also, I think it's the awareness thing, because you're right, there are numerous acts of parliament which say that certain provisions should be made for certain disabilities and so on, but in a lot of cases, there's lip service only paid to that. And I think anything that can, raise awareness, raise the levels of action around those services and delivery is really, admirable. And I think it's a really good concept. And it strikes me, I'm amazed that there isn't something like this in force. At the more, why it's never been done before, it's incredible, really.
There is nothing else at the moment
Oh,
that
well
we've
done,
found
yeah.
in the country.
Yeah.
I think from its early days, when you came and spoke to us, you've made great strides from just when you came and spoke to us.
Yeah.
Councillor Perry.
I just wondered, can you explain to me, you touched on it, so somebody has this sign, how do you know what function or what they're actually offering? I was thinking, I know somebody that signs in the town. I mean, they could put that up, but, it really is important that they know that it's for signing. So how do you differentiate between those things?
We need to work that out and make it clear. So there's been talk about having little signs. So the universally accepted and obvious sign for access will be a wheelchair. So you know that it's wheelchair accessible. There is a sign for BSL. There's signs for loop hearing. So there are some things that actually already exist. And we need to work out, do we then look at creating similar logos or whatever you call them?
Symbols, yeah.
Thank you. That relate to specific things like quiet hour. There isn't a sign for a quiet hour. Or other things that might be appropriate, home visits. Or do we just list it in words? Or do we do a mixture of both? So we need to work that bit out.
But we do have an offer of a graphic designer who's offered to create symbols for us free of charge, that we can then use. So if there isn't an existing symbol for a particular thing, we decide to go down the symbol route, then we've got someone who's prepared to create those symbols for us in the style of the things that already exist. So some of it's done for us.
I think it's something that's going to build as well. I think one of the first things that we need to do is establish what our list of sort of things that we're going to be looking for from businesses. But keep it simple for the first year, because it's something that can be built on. And we want to make it really easy to access for businesses. So what we don't want to do is go out to people and say, you've got to fill in this 24-page form, please, because we won't. So we need to start off slowly and build up.
So we've got Councillor Chapman and then Councillor Staley.
Mine it's brilliant and sort of goes along the lines of what I work in through the council anyway. In fact, in saying that, we're going to bring this up later, but the council actually became disability confident employer this week, and we're going up to the next stage on that. And you're right about listing the shops. We particularly found that out during COVID. There's 90% of the shops that deliver. We produce a leaflet if it snows that goes out, and we deliver as far as we can about, don't go without it. It's one that my dad produced with taking it on. And the biggest one is on the other side is please go and knock on your next door neighbour's door. We had an incident where somebody had died, she was new here, nobody knew, and we promote all of that side, but we've still got all of that built in from when the council stepped in over COVID. But yeah, you're right, it's a good idea. And apart from I think the council on the website is really good, and I know, talking to Matt, we are the only council that's dementia friendly trained. And we all the councillors that were here undertook our training, and and we're the only one.
And there's a lot of people who don't understand about neurodiversity, autism, and that, which is often hidden because for young people, their parents and families step in and help out. But actually, then there's a big group of people that's missed out there. So offering training to people in council as well is very much a part of what we're doing.
And on the theme that you were just saying about, when it snows and what have you, I know that the council is responsible for emergency planning. I remember it was one of the early things that I got involved with when I first came to the parish, was learning what the emergency plan is for Brightlingsea. but also on a smaller level, the local kinds of emergencies that happen when the road is blocked and we can't get in or out, for example, or there's snow, the local issues that can crop up. And actually, if we have a database of businesses with whom we're in regular communication about access needs, then it makes it easier if something comes up for all the things we can foresee and for the things we can't. It gives the council access to a database of businesses who we already know are willing to work with us and communicate with us and assist in the community. And it means that they get credit for the things they do, and it means that we have access to that network if we need to call on people to assist or to look at practices in order to meet needs where there are gaps. And the council is obviously going to be in a position to know where those gaps are.
Well, we're just actually working, on updating the emergency plan with tendering, but we're well aware that tendering is what we're under their umbrella. They're going to disappear. So we're actually working along the lines of two. That we're under tenderings at the moment, but we're really creating our own. I'm not certain how far we can pass out numbers because we've got plumbers and things who, if a councillor rings up and says we've got an emergency, they will come out. When it went public, people were taking the mickey out of them, putting it nicely, you know, and I'm a councillor, I'm so and so, and I want it done now. That's not what it's for. So we're quite cautious on things like that as well.
Okay, time is getting on, so just another 5 minutes if we can in discussion of this before we do anything. Councillor Stenny.
Thanks. That's a really good presentation. And I think it's a two-way street, because obviously you're saying you want us to help you, but you look as if you're well on the way with your different groups. So in some ways you could help us to form a plan to go forward, because as a council, I think especially with play equipment, there's different levels of disability. So how do we cater for that? Because obviously all the equipment we put in has got to be adaptable. So how do we overcome that? Because there's different levels of disability and ages as well. If you take, for instance, a disabled child goes into the basket, I mean, the mum by herself with a young babe can lift in, but then as the babe grows older, then it's too much for this mum. So should we be looking at different types of help in that play parks, for instance? And I think that we've got to come up with some idea. I don't know whether you talk about the stalls, but could we not put in sensory is a great one, isn't it? Because that appeals to a lot of disabilities. So is there any way we could encourage stalls or streets, or should we have sensory stuff in Victoria Place there? So then we've got a broader reach. But obviously it's something which is open for discussion, really.
Well, we've got professionals that within the volunteers that can help with that. I'm in the middle of doing a sensory integration PG cert, so another year and I'll be qualified. We've got someone who signs, we've got someone who works with the blind, we've got definitely can feed into that. And then that would go on here.
And Winterfest has a model for this as well, because Winterfest distributed the sensory boxes with sensory activities that are at certain locations. St James's Church has a tree of sensory objects and activities in its porch, and we're open all day every day. The library has got sensory resources and activities. So there are places where this is already happening that we can put on the map, and then we can look at, if a business says, well, hang on a minute, I've ticked this box, and this box, how do I do this? Then you've got that engagement, haven't you, to do that? Because businesses will start to be interested in, oh, well, actually, I'm doing this and this and this, but I didn't know this was a thing. Tell me about this.
I have to say, every single business that I went to this year with a sensory box for Winterfest asked to keep it. So last year they all went and they moved with each event. This year, every single place kept it. So every pub in Brighton has a sensory box. Most of the places.
Great, okay. Councillor Pavley and then Councillor Court, and then after that we'll give you a vote of confidence.
I was just going to say, I think it's a terrific idea, and I was going to suggest that we offer the group a couple of pages in our newsletter next year that you can put the map in.
Yeah.
As long as we get exclusivity.
The town guide.
Yeah.
Well, I think that would be a terrific, because then, as you say, that's picked up by the tourists, they start seeing that it's available and it gets spread around like that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Councillor.
I was just going to do a real quick, picking up what Graham was saying about kind of working together. I think it would be good, because I suspect we probably are going to get involved in this. If we could kind of borrow your voluntary experts, because what you said about complying but not exceeding has kind of struck a bit of a note, because our website is a bit like that. It complies with the regulations, but it could do a lot more. And I wonder if we can use your experts, your volunteers, to look at it and say, right, what are we getting wrong on there? Stuff like that. My question, you said you need a bit of funding. How much roughly do you think it is?
Well, for the paper, you know, the hard copies of the map or leaflet, whatever it is, then obviously funding for that print costs. And that will have to be updated and changed each year, so it will be an annual cost. And then the hosting and updating of the website, that's the other main cost. We'd also like to consider, and this is possibly further along the line, some training for either council members or businesses, local businesses who might be interested.
I only asked because I was at a briefing a few weeks ago at Tendring, and they've got their allocation for the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, and one of the things on there is about inclusive community and spaces. And I just can't see why this wouldn't be a really good application.
Can the council apply for that sort of thing?
Anyone can. So you could as a group, but equally we could do it together and say this is a project to kind of bring inclusivity into Brightlingsea a bit more. I would imagine this is going to be a pretty strong application.
I think the closing date for that is in June, isn't it? So we would
No,
have to-
it's going for the whole, so it's the new financial year. So it's
until the funds
until it
run
runs
out.
out. They've got
Yeah.
600 grand.
Yeah, it's until it runs
Then we need to apply sooner rather than later, because
Yeah.
Oh, completely, yeah.
otherwise you
Yeah.
get a nice polite note back saying, sorry, the money's already gone.
Completely, but it's
Yeah.
only just been opened, and in fact, not all of it is open. So if we put an application in for that, it could happen pretty quickly.
Okay, so, thank you very much, team. A Brightlingsea first again. We always do it
We've
first.
done most of the work on it.
Councillors, before I ask for a vote of confidence in what we're about to do, really what we're looking for is for council to work in collaboration with this group to bring forth the project and make it a reality. I'd like to choose a committee whereby they can come and talk and discuss things sooner rather than later, in particular for the funding aspect. And I'd like to choose the tourism and the communications committees for that. The reason I'm choosing those two is the communications hold two fairly reasonable councillors on board, Councillor Pagan, Mitchell, and the tourism, as I indicated before, has representations from other residents as well, and it's the way forward. I would also like to ask, we'll be having our town meeting on the 30th of April. I think it would be,
1st of May.
oh sorry, 1st of May. Wrong. I'd like to ask if you could, and I'll talk to you afterwards about it, if you could come and do a presentation to the rest of the town on this kind of thing. So we're streaming tonight, and hopefully the stream will come out, and so everybody's heard it. Councillors, a vote of confidence, please. All in favour? And of course, why wouldn't you be? So that vote of confidence going. And just before we let you go, and I know that you want to, is there any members of the public that might have a brief question about this? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Malcolm Morris, 53 Spring Road. With your introduction, when you started off with smells, I have a wood burner stove pipe just down the bottom of my garden. I don't think that was had planning permission, and that smokes a lot, and I have to close all the windows. Can this be dealt with?
Not through this particular project, but I'm sure it's something that could be tabled another time.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have a chat after as well.
We
Thank
will
you
be
very
we will be a means of communication, won't we? So we might be a means through which we find out about some of these issues, but we won't have any powers particularly to do anything, will we? That's the council.
Mayor, please have a very nice evening.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much for coming.
I might take it.
I'll take a day off, yeah.
Okay, councillors, thanks very much indeed. That was a little bit of a break from the usual, really, but it was quite nice to listen to that kind of thing, and very positive thing. As I say, Matt and I heard it earlier in the year, and we were flabbergasted, weren't we, with what they wanted to do, and they've really come a long way forward in what they wanted to do, and way hey, off we go. Right, Councillor Goggin, we have you down next, agenda item number 6, to receive a written report from our county councillor, Alan Logan. Oh, you're not going to go for the Trump chair this time, which is pretty good. You're much better off out there.
I think you missed out on a chocolate rabbit.
Oh. We can help him out if he wants.
We've got smaller.
There's a chocolate rabbit on offer, I mean,
Perhaps.
That's not bad, that's not bad. Okay, good evening everybody. Good evening. I'm going to start my notes with a piece of really good news. But the really good news has caused a problem and a hiccup. You may or may not have heard that the current government have just allocated £100 million to deal with potholes. The problem is they haven't given it to us yet. It looks as if our share at Essex could be somewhere around 8 million. And they're going to be specific about what it's going to be spent on. So whereas previously we've had a highways budget and we've been able to allocate money to projects, if the government say this is specifically for potholes, and I think that's their general theme, I think that's they consider that to be popular, then what we've got to do is rejig some of our budgets from this year so that we don't lose money, it's grant money, and we don't spend money in an area where we would get money for grants from it. So the good news is we should be up to £8 million better off. The even better news is it should be in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But the bad news is it means that several things have just been put on hold because we're not sure where to spend money. And we don't want to fall foul of the system. We don't want to get the money offered if it's allocated to potholes, say potholes, and find that we're already spending money there that we can otherwise spend elsewhere. So a bit of an apology. So as a good example, Councillor Morgan and I are going to have a meeting with the highways about the crossroads at Thorrington. That should have been put on hold. The speed survey in Ladysmith Avenue was meant to be done last week, this week in fact. Some bright spark pointed out that it was Easter. And if you did a speed and volume survey this week or next week, you get a false picture. So that's again been put on hold. Even the thing we've got going on with the hedgehogs, that's there ready to go, but it's just been put on hold. And the local Graham said he's been with me on the local highways panel. I'm pleased to say that in tendering we have one of the most efficient, I'm going to use, efficient local highways panel, and we are the exception. We've got bits and pieces out of the local highways panel, but the local highways panel, as Councillor Steady will remember, was meant to be a small committee with £200,000 to £300,000 to do small local bits and pieces, and it got out of hand. I mean, and I'll put my hand up. We got the school zebra crossing out of the local highways panel. We've got that little bit on the corner there where all the bollards and that. So we helped to make the system not what it was. So good news is there should be more money. Bad news is we're all sitting on hold, apart from stuff that's urgent, obviously.
Why, if you were sitting on money, would you then go to hold? Doesn't follow.
Oh, well, what we're saying
Just
is,
doesn't follow.
oh, okay, well, if I hadn't explained it properly, if we allocate, we haven't got our money yet. So we start a new year, but the government haven't given us our money, and it comes with conditions. So we don't want to start spending money now, if out of our current budget, if we can get it out of this new budget. So it's a bit of a glitch, it's causing all sorts of issues, but yeah, that's what it is.
I think we've got a few questions coming in, first of all.
Did you say they put the speed strips for Ladysmith on hold?
Yeah.
Why have they done that?
It's not on hold, it's a temporary hold to get over Easter.
Because it's Easter. Because it's Easter. You're going to get
But why?
you're going to get a false reading.
Why?
You won't get what we want. What we want what the council wants is to show the
Yeah, but we
speed.
can have them there longer than a week, can't we?
It's
No,
not
it's only a week. It's 7 days.
But also that's not really what we were trying to get out of it as well. We
Okay.
were just trying to get data
Yeah.
to go against our own
Yeah.
data.
Yeah.
Because we've had this thing in, I won't say the location, in someone's front bedroom for 5 months waiting for this.
Right.
And we kind of need to get it out there.
Okay.
No, what I meant was, they're going to be down longer than, hang on John, just ask them. They're going to be there longer than a week, aren't they?
No.
The speed strips.
Speed and volume surveys are
Is it
7.
only going to be there a week?
Yeah, 7 days.
Oh, I
7
didn't
days,
realise
24
that.
hours
I
a
thought it
day.
was going to be there for a month.
No, the normal.
Okay. Oh, well, that's fair enough then, I understand.
It's
that.
just at Easter you
I
would
get
get.
it now.
You would probably know.
It's just that we've waited such a long while.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have that camera and
Yeah.
But we're ready to go the minute the Easter period is finished.
That's right. Yeah.
Thanks.
And I'm hoping.
Councillor Favery's got a question for you.
Alan, I just to put it into context, because I've heard these numbers spoken before, and I know the public have. What does a pothole cost to repair? Because is 8 million 1,000, or is 8 million 25? You know, I know it's difficult to say that generally, but I have no idea. £8 million, does that repair thousands of them?
It's a good question, and I'd love to have the answer.
I'm a bit unfair.
I don't want to repeat. I don't want to repeat what I've said before.
Yeah.
If you can imagine, the big money is spent doing proper maintenance, long term on roads.
Yeah.
So to speak. And like all things in your house, the time to do the maintenance is when it doesn't need it.
Yeah.
So the time to do maintenance on roads is when it isn't got potholes in it.
Yeah.
So that's the extreme, and that's where the big money goes.
Yeah.
You then get to the emergency situation where you get a sunken drain,
Yeah.
you get something that's really needs to be addressed quite quickly. And whereas the road thing is the multi-big lorries and the scrapers and etc. The pothole emergency is literally 3 blokes with a van, with cold, I don't know what I'm talking about here, but with cold asphalt. And that means they can carry enough around in the van.
And this £8,000 is for the quick fix, is it?
Oh, no, the 8 million.
8 million.
No. Well, that's to be blunt, that's what we don't know. And then in the middle, you've got the quick fix, which is done, and we're particularly good here at Brightlingsea with our admin staff. They know when to apply for a quick fix. They know when not to apply for a quick fix.
Right.
So the quick fix, I mean, they are stopgap. Sometimes they last a month, sometimes they last 6 months.
Yeah.
But then in the middle, you've got the one that says, well, we've looked at that one, it's one of several, we're not going to do it until we get a few more, and it's not that dangerous. So that's in the middle, you've got this other range, which is where you can do something.
I do apologise, Alan, but I'm going to stop the lesson on potholes now.
Yeah.
Because time is getting on and we could be here until midnight talking about potholes. So can we please stop talking about potholes?
Okay.
Within the next, I'm assured from County Councillor Goggin, within the next few weeks, we will have information of where this £8 million will be distributed.
So
That
your
includes-
question's a good one.
And that includes.
What it costs to fix a quick fix isn't what it costs to do.
Okay,
I swear.
and we've stopped potholes now, and that includes head jobs, speed surveys, etc.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
one would hope within the next few weeks we would get some sort of information of £8 million. Please don't bring in potholes. Does any other councillor have a question for County Councillor Goggin? Please bring it brief. It's now 7:45.
Yeah, all right.
I'm not asking, it's not directed at you,
I'm normally
it's
mad,
directed at that. Councillor Barron, what would you like to ask?
I mean, it isn't about potholes, but if there is any money spent, can I just ask that it's spent on the Clacton Road, filling them bloody holes in, which I have to drive past every day,
That's
please,
exactly
right?
what I've just said to
Okay,
Graham.
and the question I've got is about devolution. You've mentioned it a couple of times in your report about briefings, and you know, I suppose like you, we've been having regular updates and regular briefings, and one of the things that come out, and which I've heard on the radio and from government, is that elections were postponed. Right now, you, as you know, you should have been standing for election in 2 weeks' time, but you're not, and we haven't got the chance to have a democratic debate about LGR and about devolution. What I'd like to know is, what's your position now in terms of an election? Are the county councillors going to have another election before the Unitary Authority comes in? Because I've heard it said that elections are being postponed for a year, right? That's the government line. Now clearly we've got, I think, mayoral elections next year. It's not county council elections. I don't see them on the horizon. So can you confirm that you, as county councillor, will not be standing for election again, or will not have to stand for election again?
You're trying to put me into it?
I'm not. No, I'm just asking you a
I
question.
could stand for the unitary.
No, I'm talking about the county council.
I think there will be no elections for county council. And I also think there'll be no more elections ever for Tenbury.
No, you're right there.
And
Well,
funny
there
enough,
are
is
some
the
county
same
councils
thing
that have
applies, is that when your 4-year period ends,
Yeah.
it's very likely that you, I'll stick with you, sorry, okay, that you will hang on for another year in the
Yeah,
same
but if
way.
they'd asked us if we want an election, we would have said yes. Where do you vote? No, didn't you? We don't get the choice. You did. Some county councils are having elections. They'll
Yes.
go for devolution, or
Yes,
they like
yes.
Oxfordshire. It was your choice. Essex County Council voted not to have it. That's all the point I'm making.
It's slightly aggressive.
No, that's the point. It's very,
Well, hang
it's
on, hang on,
undemocratic.
Well, democratic was the election that we had last year.
Right, so we seem to be getting drifting from a county council report to debates now. So let's try and get back to the report and the items on it. Do any other councillors have any questions on the items on County Councillor Goggin's report, please? Councillor Court.
Sorry, I just want to get it clear because I'm going to have to talk to the resident tomorrow. Are we saying that speed and volume survey will be done the week after next?
No, we're saying I'm planning to, I don't know when it's going to be done.
Right.
Jim, can you
Alan, I'm worried about the cockle licences in Gravesend. Just can't help it.
I'm as well. Thank you.
And it says, and the oyster fisheries are to remain closed, and they're not going to come back until 2026.
It might not even be back in 2026.
Is that the cockles as well?
Yes, the cockle license, no, funny enough, the cockle, if you imagine, basically Kent and Essex fisheries supervisors.
Do they supervise our bit? Yeah.
Oh, right the way down to Kent, right the way out to, that's why they've got this new boat. And they have to make sure that the fisheries, whether it's whatever it is, whether it's oysters or whether it's fish, is sustainable. And the problem at the moment with the oyster fisheries in our area, around here, is that the size of the oysters isn't big enough and the volume isn't big enough to be sustainable. So they will not be farmed this year.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just clarify something? Does that include the private fisheries?
No.
That's just the
Yeah.
public ones?
Yeah, if you can imagine, I think I tend to look, I think between Mersey, Brightlingsea and a bit of Clacton, I think there are 15 boats that make their money. So we have to make sure, and this is where I can look real clever because I know about riddles, I can make sure that the fish they're the Kent and Essex fisheries make sure that the riddles are the right size, the volumes are right, they're not overfishing. And they're basically trying to preserve what they've got and keep what they've got.
But this is in the national ones, not the private.
No, that's right.
Okay,
So
Alan, you still haven't gone through the majority of your call. Do you want to continue?
I'll be very quick. Let's just. There's a couple of things just to get off. I've got a meeting coming up with Jean Howard. Thank you, Jean, to come to E&T about some hedge growth. I attended some rights of way issues in Alresford. There was a discussion regarding tree planting on the new works in Belfield Avenue. I've been in touch with the groundsman, and his version is that there isn't a great deal of room on that. So I've left that with him. I think my clinic was very interesting. Again, the potholes, and just to let you know, I reported that St Moses pothole again today. So
that's your report. Thank you very much indeed. So now that we've finished the report now, I will ask again if any councillor has any other questions for Alan. It's good that you go to this Kent and Essex fishery thing. I mean, it's a really important thing, and Councillor Howard brought that up. It's a really important thing to this thing.
They're a big employer in the
They're a
town.
big employer, yeah. And yeah, much kudos to Brightlingsea. Are you heading off to St Owen this
I
soon?
absolutely am.
Would you like me to ask any members of the public?
If that fits in with what you've got.
Members of the public, do you have any questions for our county councillor?
Point 2, April the 14th, PSEG pre-meeting. What is PSEG, please?
Oh, sorry, that's me being terribly.
Which one is it? Point 2.
My daughter, place. Right. I'm chairman of a thing called Place Services and Economic Growth, which is a scrutiny committee that deals with a whole load of departments. We have on my committee have 5 portfolio holders, including going from as simple as art to as complicated as highways. So we have a pre-meeting, and the meeting, if you're really desperate, was it'd been on this morning, and this morning's discussion point was fresh air and clean air and the Clean Air Act. Sorry to make that
Again, a very important thing. Richard.
It's just an observation.
Not possible.
Read the white paper and refer to the meeting at Chelmsford where the Conservative Party and the Labour both voted to postpone the election. The Liberal Democrats were against it, but that amendment was not passed. So you should read it, and that's what it was. Am I right, Alan?
in fact, it goes further than that, because there is a group of independents, and they're basically called non-aligneds, and half of the non-aligneds also voted for it, including the chairman of the non-aligned group. So it's not an easy thing to swallow if you're on the wrong side of it.
No.
Thank you very much, members of the public. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you for the Easter. Who's it that we owe these to?
Jane's already declared.
It was a gift to me, and I had to declare the chocolates I got last.
It's second hand, is it?
Yeah. Then I thought that if I brought them in for all of you to eat, you could all declare them as well, can't you?
Yeah, 4 years at a date, Alan.
Perhaps we'll have some more by the time we get there.
Thanks very much indeed, Alan. Please give our best to St Joseph and wish them a joyous Easter.
And everybody have a lovely Easter.
Tell them how potholes all been done.
Yeah.
What?
Tell them how
You
potholes-
bugger! They actually believed him.
Yeah. I tried that, right?
You know.
Okay, onwards. Right, onwards. Thanks very much indeed. Agenda item 7 is an update from district councillors. To receive an update from our tentative district councillors. Thank you. We'll kick off, please, with Councillor Bowser.
Nothing to add.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman.
Nothing to add.
This is music. Councillor Steady. There's always one.
The main theme of all of these meetings I've been to is OGR devolution, it's coming out more and more. And I think that will affect, that will affect.
Good night, everybody.
That will affect the work programmes as we go along, because we're changing our work programmes on scrutiny. And that finalised with a members briefing on the local plan and LGR last night, which again was quite heavyweight. But again, all the minutes and the recordings are all on the TNT website. On the back of your my report, I've put the council tax and the properties, and it's interesting how much each gets in the pound. So Tendring, for instance, get 9p in the pound. We get parish 2p in the pound, and obviously the county council are worth a lot more because they get 73p.
I'm glad you said that, Walter.
But I think that's sort of highlights it really, puts all into perspective. From my own personal view is that if a unitary does happen, then obviously my guess is, or my suggestion would be that is looked at seriously, because it will be, presumably will be changed, because it will be. And then just on the Western Promenade, the bins are back, 2 by the Dogolands, and also remedial work has been done on various paths around the Padman Pool and along Western Prom.
And one of the bins has been burnt out, hasn't it, again?
I haven't heard that.
I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that.
No, I think that was an old one.
Big mistake, wasn't it?
So, I'm just wanted to walk about with Jenny Wilkinson, the property and project manager on the 23rd of April. I don't know if Jane will be available, but if there's any ideas, I've got quite a few things on the Padman Pool.
I have praise for you. I've already mentioned this to Jane. As I was sitting in my beach hut, twinkling my copper toes, thinking about how big they are down there, a resident came past and praised the fact of the logo, the no cycling logo, that's outside the Sailing Club.
Yeah.
How good it was, bright, and the size of it.
Yeah.
And she asked at the same time whether another one would be placed by the paddling pool.
Well, there's one, in actual fact, just up from the Padman Pool, but unfortunately it's the wrong way round. So it should be for people coming off of the, so that will be bringing that.
Well, perhaps your walkabout, I mean, I think, and I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I think mimic that's outside the Sailing Club.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, because we did talk about that last year, they came out with a little stencil. But that is much better. And in fairness, they did say they would do that. So, and the other thing is, the toy box has been, you remember we put a toy box there that was vandalised, unfortunately. But Steve, the beach warden, I think that's him again this year, has put one inside the beach warden's hat, and that's working quite well. You know, it's borrow, play and return.
I was waiting for a while.
Yeah. But I think that's quite, because he has everybody's there, so he keeps an eye on it.
Well, the season is coming, and all this bright sunny weather, I mean, you can see, just walking down the promenade today, you know, it's all elbows, you know, so many people walking about, it's great, it's really good, and where this town is suddenly becoming must visit town. Councillor Chapman,
Sorry, can I just go back onto mine?
if you must.
Yes, thank you. I've listed committee places on there again. This is the second month I've listed them, because we're constantly being called into meetings to reallocate. This will change again in July after the by-election for Frinton, depending on who that week, who wins that. But I have to say that at the moment, as a group leader, I can allocate to my group, and we are trying to take on as many of the scrutiny positions that are coming. The Labour group don't ever sit on the scrutiny for some reason, which left a spare place on community leadership, which I have now taken. So we've now got 2 representatives. Graham actually chairs that one, so. And we will fight to keep ourselves onto these scrutiny ones.
Good.
Unfortunately, Mick's not allowed to sit on any scrutiny because there's a portfolio holder, so, but he does.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you miss that, don't you? So that's the other reason why I keep listing them, is because of.
Thank you. Do any councillors have any questions for our district councillors? Councillor Cord, and then afterwards Councillor Howard.
Mum, can we try and get a date for the bollards behind the toilets on the prom?
That was down for the end of April.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I thought it was definitely being done.
I haven't been down the last few days.
No, but some of them were loose. I think they've been tightened up. But I think they were going to put the metal ones in.
Yeah, that's what you said last month.
Yeah.
Can I ask, has it been put on hold?
Because you've got too much money.
Couldn't possibly say.
I can bring it up on Wednesday.
Thanks very much, Councillor Larry. Councillor Howard.
Oh, can I go back on Jane's one as well? Because we attended the emergency planning meeting with Jane and Julie came as well. And it was quite interesting really, wasn't it? Because it looks like we're really going to have to up our game here, because we won't have tendering on the doorstep to go to if anything serious really happens. I mean, I think Harwich are really worried, aren't they, with what they've got on their doorstep, you know, to lose tendering. And I think we need to be really up on our game. So
well, I think you're right, to be honest. I mean, devolution is bringing in lots of different views and everything from everybody, and perhaps some people listen to the wrong voices and some listen to the right voices. One certainty is that our responsibility for the emergency plan will extend.
Having said that, John, we are amongst, there's lots of councils that haven't actually got an emergency plan at all.
Well, they can always come and talk to us, can't they?
I think there's only 2 of us there that had actually already had an emergency plan. So,
well, I think put the word out that they, you know, those, if it is local to here, they can always come and talk to us. We have a good.
I just thought we'd get that sorted.
Thank you very much. Okay, all good on that, thank you. Okay, our next agenda item are the Teams reports, and this is to receive reports and recommendations from the informal committees. We'll kick off first of all with the Facilities and Community Assets team, which is chaired by Councillor Warman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, there's 5 small recommendations there. Just like to say thanks to Councillor Petley, who brought forward Peter Shaw, who gave the FCA a report on EV and what he could produce for charging proposals for the town. It was a very good debate and very welcome. And as you can see, the recommendation is that he's looking around the town, taking advice, and coming back with some sort of proposal for us to consider at a later date. But that was a very welcome intervention and a very good debate. Otherwise, the recommendations are in front of you, I think.
Okay, we have, oh, sorry, I do apologise.
Can I just add on there that I really think it should be minuted that thanks must go to Rick for supplying paint and Kerry for painting all those boats. And unfortunately, then to get an email, and I know Rick's in on it, Kerry found me so upset. She had just finished painting to receive an email from the Scouts to say they weren't going to open.
Well, I have spoken to Kerry today.
Yeah, no, they are going to open
They
now.
are going to.
But they were using the excuse they got no insurance and not enough people, and that really upset Kerry because she had put herself and some others forward to be told that they weren't needed. But they've now turned it around and they are going to open. But I know how upset she was. But I just think we should minute.
Well,
You know, Ripley, your painting, Kerry for all that painting, she was covered.
Kerry did one day with us, which was good on painting, but all the dinghies are different colours,
Yeah.
they're bright and they're cheery and they'll be safe. We're having to replace a couple of thwarts and a couple of roll-up points, but they will be back late tomorrow. We will take photographs of them because they look really colourful. And I think we should put it on our website and advertise it as a great community asset. I do think, and I have spoken to Richard, that you know, we would like to see the Scouts get more, participate more in their own maintenance, because I always thought that was one of the core reasons of being a Scout. But perhaps the dinghy's got into such disrepair that this will stimulate them, because it will be bright and they may be used, and hopefully they'll get some enthusiasm and so get back into doing it.
Councillor Payne.
I think, having heard that, I think we must make sure that we've seen sight of the insurance before they open.
They open on Saturday morning.
I haven't seen sight.
I think it will, because otherwise we're covering it, and I'm not sure if we can cover.
No, I asked Terry that question, if our public liability would cover it, because it's not our event. Terry said no. That's why I think there was an issue with the Scouts, but yeah.
They have got their own insurance.
Yeah, Kerry said that they had emailed and say all their own insurance.
She understood, they've sorted it out.
Have we got a copy of it then?
No.
No, but I will, I'll see him tomorrow, so I will
I think it just as a matter of principle.
I think it's a good thing. Perhaps Rick, you could do that.
I will do that. That's
Now, one thing is, the communications team, I know that all the comms team is not here. Anybody visiting over the Easter weekend, can you take some pics, please? Or tomorrow, and then perhaps distribute them to Councillor Pavey so that we can make a little list. Because I think that if we then support that Scout group, which we've always wanted to support it, but maybe we haven't supported this as much, it will help to bring the feeling up. Yes.
Just quickly on that, because the Gazette covered the kind of launch of it.
Yeah.
They might be interested in doing a follow-up, and I think in that follow-up we should really stress kind of the work that some councillors have done to get it done. You know, there's a bit of a pat on the back for those councillors.
Yeah, who is it you talked to at the Gazette?
I've got the telephone number, I'll give it to you afterwards, along with his name. I've got it on my phone.
Brandon.
Yes, well, Brandon, I've been sending Brandon stuff quite regularly, and I've never got any feedback.
Well, you may have moved, of course. I'll give that to you afterwards.
Yeah, can I, just on the leases, is there any update on the leisure bill? I'd like to ask Councillor Atkinson if there's any update on the leisure bill.
Well, at the moment, the solicitor that's dealing with this has passed it on to the solicitor, a different department. Basically, it's into the, what do they call it, conflict resolution people. He's dispute resolution people, sorry. And he's written a substantial letter that he's having checked by the moment by QH or what they call them.
Quality assurance.
And I'm expecting something back in the next couple of days to say yes, send it, which I'll distribute so you can see it.
So that'll be a letter back to where we are then?
A letter back to the solicitors, their solicitors demanding action on these points.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, one of them has taken a little time because we've had to go through the people that are there with no permanent homes. Because, and this is where the problem occurs, our lease doesn't allow that, but it has been allowed, and it has been allowed for a long time. And he's got quite agitated about that, and we've got to make a decision, do we want to push that or not?
It's to do with sitting tenants' rights, it's complex debate.
Licensees and
in which case we will have to make some adjustment to the lease, I suppose.
Well, let's look at what the recommendation is, shall we?
Sorry,
Sorry.
it's also an associated letter called the tendering. to,
Oh, yes, sorry, yeah.
so that, because it's a tripartite arrangement really, so everybody knows what's going on. Because they hold the license.
Okay, but the important thing to know here is that we are dealing with solicitors rather than
Absolutely,
councillors for tenants.
I was warned again about that.
By our solicitor, I would hope.
Yeah.
Councillor Barrow, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just on item 7 and that, the local government review. Yeah, we had a meeting on Monday, and subsequently redrafted a submission, which I hope everybody's seen. It's gone round, and that has been sent off to the chief executive. And we will await a response. And I think we are the first council who's actually put in a submission to start the discussions going. So, as you know, I mean, just to reassure people, that was a draft. It's very much a first go, and we will see, you know, what comes back. But all I can say about the whole thing that's going on is that things are changing almost daily in terms of what we're hearing in terms of potential agreement, potential outcomes, potential structures, and so on and so forth. And it's, I mean, honestly, it's just an unimaginable mess, in my honest opinion. And you know, there's no justification that's going to sort of get us through this. So we just have to really work. And I think the mantra or the position from both councils, I think Tendring and this council, is that we need to get the best deal for our residents out of this, and hopefully that's what you know we'll all be working towards. So thanks to everybody who put into that and sent contributions in. I think it covered most points, and we will see what comes of it.
Good, well thank you for your time in doing the document. It has gone today, along with the thing. Councillor Howard.
Just a couple of things. Item 4, have we had any response from MMA? Or are we still
We have had a notification which is requesting more information, but it's not unpositive, it will need to, but only right today.
Okay. And did we have any response from Basingstoke?
No, we have not to date, as far as I'm aware. Tracy, right, just filming
We're
that?
waiting for the recommendation tonight, then we follow
No,
that
we're
through.
going to follow
it, yeah.
Right.
No, we can't
Oh,
until
okay,
after this.
yeah, okay.
You have to approve it.
Just very quickly, can I, as Jean said earlier, something that I think we need to be concerned about is that on the emergency side, you think that we're going to have to take him on, and I just asked the district councillors if they could just be informed or try and watch out for when the transfer happens, what gets passed over that implicitly ends up in our lap. For example, we're going to have to do more with the emergency. And it concerns me, we're going to have to do more, but how are we going to pay for it?
Well, we do already hand over our emergency plan to Tendring. It is a binding thing, and only Chairman Graham lead on that, other councillors.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's not just the plan, that plan, I'm thinking other things that.
I'm sure, but we are so, I think you've hit the nail on the head. You know, there's so much disinformation out there that nobody knows where they're going. And until we know, we can't comment, because we don't know. We do know our own thing, which is our own emergency plan.
Yeah.
Very, funny enough, we talked about that at the scrutiny committee this week, because obviously I had a Freudian slip, as I said, that we've got a coastline, but Colchester and Aintree haven't. And then someone said, well, it was Mersey. I was like, they don't count. So, and as I said to the committee, I said, one of the things what we've got to be worried about is that we've got to make sure that we preserve, and we're in a special place with the coastline. So I think maybe one of the ideas, there should be a hub somewhere in Tendring to exactly maybe look after what you're saying if there's an emergency. But that obviously has early days.
I wonder if they say the same about us.
Anyway, yeah, so, yeah, that is on the,
All right,
that is on the-
okay, moving on, can we please vote on the recommendations, please? We've got recommendations from the FCA. May I have a proposal for them, Rick? Seconder, please, Jane. Are we all in favour of those recommendations on those minutes? Any against? Those recommendations are passed. Thank you. Our second informal committee is the Environment and Transport, acronym E&T. Ian knows his throat, and that is in the chairmanship of Councillor Howard. Jane.
Yeah, just as it reads, the recommendation we've put to the Finance Committee, and they can have that ratified tonight, would be nice, for the, to buy some signs for our 20 is plenty, and keep off the grass and no parking signs.
Yeah. Okay, so the recommendation for that would come up through the Finance Committee, so we can vote on the recommendations here, but you will be doing that on there. Would anybody like to take any of the subject matter of the E&T? In which case, may I have a proposer for the recommendations, please? Councillor Barry, and a seconder, Councillor Favely, all in favour? Any against? Those recommendations are passed. Thank you. Third informal committee is Welfare and Residents. Oh, that's not informal. Welfare and Residents Services. We do apologise. In the very capable hands of Councillor Chapman.
As I said earlier, that Julie and I sat in on a briefing with tendering about becoming a disability confident employee. We've actually got the first stage because we did everything that was required. We're now going through to do the second stage. We've got our certificate, we've got a sticker that goes on the door. It is registered to Julie and Tracy, although it was done on my council email, but so that's one stage closer. And it's not necessarily for minuting this, but so much of what I do is so confidential, and it's been quite a hectic 2 weeks. But all I want to say is I cannot fault, and I would like my thanks to go to the police safeguarding team. They were absolutely brilliant, and they've kept in contact with me nearly every day since. They've been up to see if there's any up. So, you know, as I said, it's not necessarily for
no, but it's something.
Recording. So often the police are hit, but they have been exceptional.
Very
1,000 times better than adult social services.
Yeah. Well done, Jenny. Difficult times.
Sometimes it's getting council, yeah.
Thanks very much. Last informal committee is communications and tourism. I'll ask Councillor Favely to give something on the communications, before which, because so you can think about it. Before which, so let me just give you a little bit of thing on the tourism. The guide is now out, as you're all aware. It's been, the feedback from the guide is pretty good. We have some copies. If any of you know of an outlet that would require some copies of Charles Marie, French Marie, I've got some of them.
I took a whole box.
Oh, good, okay. And any other places, please just almost help yourself, and please distribute them as you can. We are looking for a volunteer that might want to go across to Orchards and ask them if they would, Orchards over in Point Clear, and ask them if they could take a box of our guys. They already have the Brightsea Harbour guide, by the way. Brightsea Harbour has got a box. Julie normally goes around the shops and does it, but she's been a bit poorly, so we've been trying to do it. If you know of anybody that hasn't got any, please tell me.
Tenbury's got a box.
Tenbury's got a box.
Have we thought of taking some
Essex, Colchester.
Colchester,
yes.
yeah, tourists?
Yeah, I've taken a box up to the tourism in Colchester.
Holly Trees Museum, normally send a box.
Okay, I didn't tell you that. But the Wivenhoe and I explained this. The Wivenhoe and Brightlingsea Chronicle, renamed because it seems to be all about Wivenhoe in this edition, is out. Our advert is in it, and we're exploring the peace type thing there, and our other little messages that we want to put across. Bit disappointed because we did give them quite a number of little press releases that we drip fed to them. Not one of them got in there, which is a little disappointing. There we are. Councillor Howard, what did you miss?
I was in second. I know it was. I was volunteered to go take the things across to West Point.
Orchard?
Orchard, yeah.
Have you driven here tonight, this
Sorry,
evening?
Wednesday.
Have you driven here this evening?
Yeah, she has.
She has. May we put a box in your car? Or were you going to go on the ferry? Okay. Councillor Bailey, was that enough time for you to have a think?
Well, you've done it, report.
There we go.
There we go, you've done the report, although I do think we should call a new meeting after Easter to actually look at some of this, because I think the Gazette and the Chronicle should be considered as to how we use them more effectively or not, as the case may be. And I think the other thing is that there's a couple of issues, such as the ones you wrote, those articles that need more publicity and need to be actually put out in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have our own newsletter.
Maybe we should.
Yeah,
Maybe we should.
we've got everything set up to do it.
Okay, that's.
Yeah.
I'll put up a comms meeting as soon as the Easter bunny's disappeared up its hole.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks very much. Any other questions? Thank you. Any recommendations on the no? Right, let's get to our big boys committees now. We'll start off with finance in the chairmanship of Councillor Atkinson. The first is 9A, to receive and approve minutes of the finance meeting held on 15th of April and to confirm the recommendations therein. Part of those recommendations, Councillor Atkinson, would be to allow Councillor Howard's committee to have some funding for their signage. To abstain.
Okay, that is the case. The meeting on Tuesday, the main issue, just worthy of mention, I think, is that was to try and review the year-end position. That's year 24-25. The reason for doing that is that we want to try and sign the accounts of this year at the next meeting, which is the May meeting, and not the June meeting, which was last year. It was June. You can't actually progress ongoing accounts until you sign them up. So it's a good reason. There's good reasons for getting them signed further. So on that basis, we've tried to assess what the year-end position might be, and it is yet to be confirmed. But I'm pleased to say that the expenditure was about bang on line with the budget, and but the income showed a very healthy surplus. So the key recommendation, as far as I'm concerned, is that we're prepared to invest some of that surplus, and in fact up to £10,000 next year, to try and improve efficiency across the piece, really, of all activities. That's above the budgeted figures which have been agreed. So that would include things like marketing, cost cutting, organisational change, all those sort of things. I think there's a huge potential to make improvements with some expenditure so spent. So that would be the key recommendation that I would seek your support. And yes, we'll pass the signage. and one or two others. So I don't have any questions before proposing the minutes.
I think Councillor Morgan has
Oh, well, actually, I would just like to say, I think that Councillor Atkinson and the finance has really turned school on this finance committee. I think it's showing great prudence, it's showing really sound accounts and really good management, David. I think it's all to the benefit of this council, and I think this council can start to look forward to actually looking at new schemes and new ways of spending some money into the community after a couple of quite bad years, and I think I like to record, I think Councillor Atkinson has done a really good committee.
Yeah, I would amplify that thanks, and you know, as the past chairman of the committee, you said you've done wonders. Well done. Your team, and you've really done well.
There's been a lot of cooperation around that.
Yeah, no, really good. Okay, councillors, would you like to please, but not vote, so we need a proposal, which I guess is you, a second vote. We'd like to vote on all of the recommendations, including the ones that Councillor Atkinson has put forward, and the hedgehogs, and any against. That Okay, all those recommendations are now passed. Thank you. Still on agenda item 9 is to confirm the recommendations of those members examining the accounts for current period. Who is it? Councillor Howard. Sorry, Jean, I didn't have that down. It's to you.
Councillor Morgan and I have examined the accounts for March 2024 and under the delegated authorities, the Finance Committee confirmed that 26 payments in the sum of £16,705.24 have been authorised and paid, and the statements of balances on the following accounts be accepted. Current account 7055 is £5,518.62p. Business premium account £902.
Just
£902 dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, dead.
Called me out. Business premium account £28,656.82p. CCLA Public Sector Deposit Fund £51,012.77. Instant Access Account £37,458.61. Current T2 account £13,669.82, making a total on all accounts of £137,208.64. Income for March 2025, £22,681.07. Expenditure for March 2025, £33,377.67. Income to date, 1st of April to 31st of March, £484,261.18. Expenditure to date, 1st of April to 31st of March, £434,011.02. Employee payments paid for the month of March 2025, £17,886.96.
Well done, Councillor Howard. It's always a long thing. It's the decimal points that get in the way. May I have a second? Councillor Morgan, thank you. All in favour of it? Any against? Passed. Okay, agenda item 10, planning, minutes of the planning meeting held on 25th March and 8th of April. Cover the planning decisions of the Tenbury District Council. Chair of the planning is Councillor Paley.
I don't have much to add to the minutes, other than to just point to a particular application we had on the 8th of April, which was for the 16 High Street. It was an application to replace windows, but connected to that, which was for our information only, so I presume it was an officer adjustment, was that the premises was changed from commercial to residential. And we were very concerned and noted to the planning department that we know that the application for the change of use, and we are very concerned if this change of use extends to the ground floor, as this will remove or reduce the retail space available in the town. So if you don't know, 16 I believe is the undertakers. Co-op undertakers, and the implication is they've changed all the windows upstairs, but this secondary note about this change of use did not specify it was just for upstairs. Yeah. And I think we were all concerned as planning that we did not wish to lose the shop and particularly lose it to residential. We've made this point, and I think I would appreciate if maybe we haven't had a reply or anything to that, have we? I wondered if we should actually write a letter as a council from the mayor repeating that and asking for confirmation that it was only for the first floor.
Sure, yeah.
I assume everybody's that, you know, this should stay commercial. So other than that, if we can write that, no, I don't have anything else to say.
Yep. Tracy's making that, perhaps do that tomorrow morning, is it?
I won't, you can.
Oh, it's Good Friday.
Tuesday, probably.
Tuesday.
That'd be better.
Thank you. Now then, esteemed members of the public, before you go eating your tremendous Easter eggs, do you have any questions that you would like to bring up? Councillors, I wonder if you'd like to open up the camera zone so that we can see our Dave.
An observation, not a question. Regards the boat lake and the boats, there's a new Sea Cadet group opened in Brotherton.
Yes,
I wonder whether they would be interested in.
We have asked them. We've asked them through Colin from the Naval, what do they call it? Naval RNA. And unfortunately, they've gone to their HQ and they've come up with this book of, regulation, and they feel they can't do it, sadly. At the moment, it may change.
I'm going to talk to Richard about that, because I had noticed the group starting, and I think they could well work together on something, so.
But they were initially keen.
Yes.
But I'm afraid London got in the way of the Sea Cadets and said, whoa, hang on a minute.
They seem a very enthusiastic group. They came to the museum and
I believe they're going to be there for the opening on VE Day thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
They can be pulling the flags up and down.
Are they? Yeah, they're a good group. Any other questions? My goodness. I can see. No?
You will
Not this time.
Go on, think of one. Go on.
I see on there from the Cone Yacht Jetty. What was that about?
I'm sorry, Malcolm, I didn't hear you because there's a lot happening there. Can you please start again?
I see by the communities team, Cone Yacht Club Jetty. What was that about?
The Cone Yacht Club Jetty, we are in discussions with the Cone Yacht Club committee regarding their jetty, which because it is needing repairs and.
Why can't they repair it?
Well, they can.
We're doing a responsible council thing. We're doing a responsible council thing where that jetty sits on our land. And they are our tenants, so they're talking to us and we're talking to them.
Does it mean they'd be like the cricket club, give them 15 grand to repair
Well, I
it?
think we must be objection.
They do have toilets.
Thank
you.
They've got toilets.
But they're not public.
They're not public. Okay. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you, Malcolm. Agenda item 12, Town Clerk's report. Tracy.
Yeah, we've had a very special request for a mobile horse box sauna. Down to the western promenade. We've asked a few questions, which they've answered numbers 1 to 5, which you'll see listed. Is that something council would want us to follow through with?
My
Obviously,
first comment on that is that this is obviously fired by a wood fire.
Yes, I think that's...
Well, I think we get a lot of complaints from bonfires. We don't want complaints from wood fires from all the beach owners.
And I would say, what's in it for the...
And what's in it for them?
Well, how much are they going to pay us?
Well, that's the question. If we want to go follow it through and go down that route, obviously, yeah, we can make a charge, and because they want to be there about 4 to 5 hours, obviously can't have to pay. Whether we put them in a safe play area, or do we want them? Don't we want them? Or any other locations you see fit for the town?
When I originally read this, I thought, is there enough houses?
Okay, I think that needs to be. Let's not dismiss it. Let's pass it across to the FCA and let them discuss it. It's called passing the log.
Mr. Chairman, can I say that's possible?
But I would suggest that you need to ask what the pollution is going to be.
Yes.
And how much horse Okay. Tracy, any other thing? Thanks very much. Okay. My goodness, we made it. Oh, we made it. Councillors, members of the public, it is my duty to wish you a very good Easter. May your Easter eggs be whole and not floppy, and don't eat too. Thank you very much for attending.